Hi, everyone. We are live. Welcome to the Upriseastrology live forecast show. We are live to discuss the upcoming week. There's a lot of interesting things that are happening. And we're going to go over a lot of what the planets are up to. If you're here for the very first time, welcome to my channel. My name is Aylin. I am an astrologer and tarot card reader. And I'm so excited to be here doing this live to give you guys a sort of an insight to what's coming for the upcoming week. We are going to be covering every week particular planets and where they're at in their transits. And then we also pull some tarot cards at the end. So stick around for the tarot card or the tarot card reading if you're into tarot cards. I like to merge the astrology with the tarot together. I am going to be popping out my chat here real quick so that I can peek into the chat. So if you are joining and you are here for the first time or not, I want you to just tell me where you are tuning in from. I always love hearing that. Where are you tuning in from? What got you into astrology? Anything you want to share with me in the chat. So we are going to begin. The first thing that we're going to discuss for this next week is going to be where some of the planets are at and how they will be moving and what the themes are for those planets. So this is going to be a forecast for March 21st through 27th. That is the time frame that I'm going to be taking a look at. I am going to pop up the chart so that you guys can see the charts with me. If you hear any kind of barking in the background, my dog is in the background. She is sometimes expressive. So if you hear anything like that, it is her. All right, we're going to share the screen. You guys should be able to see my chart. And we're going to go back to March 21st. That's where we're starting. So the first thing I want to tell you guys is that this next week, the north nodes are still staying at 23 degrees. If you're new to astrology, the north nodes give us a really good picture of some of the themes, especially for not only us personally, but also for what is happening collectively. That is the way that I view it. Now, the north and the south node are going to be in Taurus and Scorpio at 23 degrees all week long. They're still staying there. They actually switched last week and they're going to stay there until they move on to another degree. And we'll discuss that when the time comes up. So what is the Taurus north and south node at 23? Let's recap real quick. The themes here is about wanting to gain a bigger picture. Depending on where it is transiting in your chart, you want to gain a bigger picture. And this big picture comes about by a reflective mode. It's reflecting on our beliefs, reflecting on how we feel at this time, and sort of take an inventory of where has life taken us so far? Where are we at right now? And what do we want to actually get insight into? What do we want to know when it comes to our future self or the future we're trying to somehow get to? Something in the future that we're wanting to know the bigger picture of. And it could be as simple as wanting to have the big picture of where the world is maybe even going. What is happening within the world? Where is all of this stuff going to take us? That is where the north and the south node and my interpretation is at. What do we know and what do we want to know? And what do we have to absolutely know as far as the story of the world and how that impacts ourselves? So that's where the north and the south node are at. Now, the next thing we're going to move into is going to be taking a look at where the moon is at and how is the moon going to be moving through the signs and what does it all mean. Let's take a look at that. So the beginning of the week, we see that the moon is going to be starting out in Scorpio. So this is a transit, in my opinion. Whenever the moon is in Scorpio, we tend to have this, theme of paying attention to our personal needs a lot, wanting to maybe withdraw from certain aspects to kind of recalibrate in a way. That is my experience every time with this moon transit. And I'd love to hear if you guys ever follow the moon transits like that, what that really represents for you, because it's slightly different for all of us, right? But this particular moon Scorpio transit, the way that I'm viewing it is that it is going to sort of jumpstart this week of reflection on our personal needs and wanting to kind of get our energy sort of recalibrated, or some kind of recalibration in a way. So it starts out with that. Now, the interesting aspect about the moon being in Scorpio is that as we move forward, the moon is going to be together with the Southnode in Scorpio. And I'm going to draw a bigger circle around this so that we can see this, okay? Now, the moon is going to be together with the Southnode. What does that mean? Well, we're definitely taking a look at a particular aspect in our life that has to do with boundary issues and safety issues, or the themes of boundary and safety. It can also have to do something along the lines of going a little bit deeper, not the same for everybody, right? But going a little bit deeper, it could have to do with some kind of abuse or an abusive situation that we are reflecting upon, or a situation where there is been some kind of penetration of boundary. Okay. There is sort of this survival instinct that had to kick in, but it's what I'm picking up from this as well, just looking at this particular transit with all the other themes that are coming up, is that we are going to be reflecting upon something from the past, something familiar from the past that had something to do with the boundaries to safety and the challenge of maybe the boundaries being crossed. And we had to sort of kick into survival mode, a very particular subject. It's very distinct. Now, it has somehow to do with our existence at this time and what we know for sure we will not repeat. Again, we're strengthening these themes all year long, what we don't want to repeat and where we want to hold our boundary lines down. The more that we're moving along during this year with the South Node in Scorpio, we are going to be realigning what the truth is about that for us individually and then also in the collective. And also worldwide, right? There's a lot of stuff that we're seeing right now that are unfolding where we are in a thinking mode. We're thinking about what boundaries actually need to look like, what our necessities are, and where are we allowed to have these boundaries? That's another question that might be coming up here that you might be asking yourself. But again, we're, going over this sort of subject line over and over again. It's not just this week. Now, as we're taking a look at this, what is going to happen is that when we move along towards Wednesday, okay, that is when the moon will have passed the South Node in Scorpio. And I think I mentioned this in another one of my videos before, where what does this really mean, right? When the moon sort of passes the South Node, it's where we make a change, where we overcome a particular aspect and we make a decision internally. Okay. Now for us, it's going to be internally, but also may also impact the external, in particular for this next upcoming week. So we're making sort of this decision that we have to draw the line somewhere in our life where we're starting to see that we may have gone a little bit too far in a certain direction. And so we have to put the boundary back in place. And we recognize that now. So there comes sort of a cut with that. We're cutting that particular aspect out of our life, or we're drawing the boundary. We're making ourselves a little bit stronger. Now, when we go into Wednesday, we see that the moon has already moved on to Sagittarius. And as we move along, with the moon being in Sagittarius, we can see here that the moon is now going to be close together with the galactic center. And I want to point this out. I believe that it's really important to take a look at this because the galactic center is, in my opinion, a representation of where we're sourcing from. Okay, it's where it all sort of started, where it all began. The galactic center is really important to take a look at. Now, when the moon is coming close to the galactic center in Sagittarius at 27 later on during or early morning during Thursday, what I think that we are going to realize is that we're now going to be in this place where we're going to reassure our belief and our decision making about it. What are we doing? Right? Like there is sort of a reassurance that starts to kick in here, and a sort of a surge of saying to ourselves, like a conversation, yeah, we have to make this change. Okay. There is a reassurance that is happening, but it's not only within ourselves. It's something that's also happening in the world. We'll see, my prediction is that we'll see some world events happening where there's sort of a decision-making that is unfolding, that is sort of feels final for whatever the theme is. There's a finality around it. There's sort of a faded touch to this, where a change is happening. And as a result, it impacts everybody. Okay. So that's what I'm predicting here as far as midweek, as our emotions, and when it comes to the reflective part of what is happening next week. Now, let's move forward into what is happening later on during that week, because the moon is going to be coming into Capricorn. And so we get this reassurance. We have sort of this heightened sense of a bigger picture about our decision, a bigger picture. And perhaps for some of it, it will actually be about hope as well, right? And then the moon moves into Capricorn, which then we start to realize, okay, the decision-making that we have done, the boundaries that we have set, the new safety, sort of picture that we're putting into our life, and what that really means now comes to a point where we have to make more decisions personally about what we need in our life, what's not necessary anymore. So this moon in Capricorn is going to be the last quarter moon from this moon cycle that we began. And so this last quarter moon is going to put us into a place where we want to strip away of anything that is not necessary anymore. But it starts sort of in a reflective mode again. I'm not sure we're taking the action quite yet. I would say that the action is going to unfold as we initiate into the new moon in Aries, which is going to be a moon cycle that will have a lot to do about being in action truly. Whether we like it or not, we're going to be in action in our life, because there is a part of us that has changed now. So we're acting and reacting very differently. And I think that initiation in a way comes with this last quarter moon in Capricorn, because it is all about stripping away at anything that's not necessary and that doesn't make sense anymore. Okay, because the Capricorn moon, in my opinion, is a perfect moon transit to draw your emotions sort of in and rebalance them in a way where you're not becoming too overly emotional, where you're able to take a look at something more from a objective sort of point of view. And I think that this last quarter moon is going to allow for us to go into the weekend where we are having a new sense of courage, a new sense of confidence, and sort of a quick decision-making ability. So that's what I believe that this moon transit is going to be perfect for. If you're going into the weekend, whatever it is that you're doing, these are some of the themes. Now, the other theme that I do see, because the sun is going to be in Aries at this point, is that there is a level of impatience. There's a part of us that wants to rush through things because of this new energy of confidence, or this courage that we might be experiencing during this time. So there is sort of this sense, I would say, that by the time we come to the weekend, where we're reflecting on what it is that we're wanting to succeed in, our determination in a straightforward way. We're dealing with two signs that are straightforward, Capricorn and Aries, having that last quarter moon in a forward manner, dealing sort of with our day-to-day in that kind of a way. Now, which leads me to the next thing we're going to take a look at, and that is going to be the sun's transit. So this particular week, from the 21st until the 27th, the sun is going to start at 1 degree in Aries, and it's going to finish at 7 degrees in Aries by the time we come to Sunday. And so it is going to be a breath of fresh air, sort of, in a way, this week, because there is sort of a new energy that is coming in. When we think of Aries, we think of spring, we think of, an energy that is determined. We think in a more less complex way. That is another thing that I love about the Aries energy. It's because it's pure thought. There is no other sort of complexity around it. There is no other drama around it. It is a straightforward way to think about, things, and taking what it is that you're feeling, thinking, and making it happen without any other complications around it. Of course, there's always going to be relationship, dynamics going back and forth. But what I love about the sun's transit for this upcoming week is that we are in this place where we're having sort of this, a part of us wants to really change, and we want to learn, and we want to maybe perhaps take this energy that we're experiencing and do something with it that is different, which also leads me to one other transit I want to talk about this week. That is Mars squaring Uranus at 12 degrees. That is going to be on the 22nd. And I'm going to go back here to the 22nd so that we can kind of take a look at this. So Mars is going to be in Aries. Mars is going to be in Aquarius. And what we're going to see here is that Mars is going to come into a square with Uranus at 12 degrees. This is a change that perhaps we didn't anticipate. We could be experiencing that. We're wanting to change based on what it is that we're finding out, based on what it is that we're believing, based on this portion that we have been working through already about new boundaries, about new things that we're trying to accomplish. But it's a very determined energy here with this square. And this change will have to or it can be used for not creating good things. So you want to be mindful here of trying to understand what it is that you're trying to create during this week, that you're focusing on during this week. And is this making sense in the long term? I think that is a picture that we have to ask ourselves. There could also be an impact to something that we used to rely upon that we're no longer going to be able to rely upon anymore. There's some kind of a resource theme here, something that we used to rely on, and now we are finding out it's different. And so there's a change that comes about with this. So that is another thing I think that is worthwhile paying attention to for this next upcoming week. Now, which leads me to, I believe, one of the most important things that we're going to be experiencing in the next couple of weeks is that Chiron is going to be moving to 12 degrees on the 26th. And I'm just going to clear this out and we're going to move forward to the 26th. Okay, so on the 26th, Chiron is going to be, let me just go forward a couple of hours here. Chiron is going to be moving from 11 degrees Okay, it's been at 11 degrees for a while now. It is going to move to 12 degrees. Okay, we are going to just clear this out and just go forward by the hour so that we can kind of just see where this is happening. We're inching our way towards it. There it is. So Chiron at 12 degrees. Okay, so that's a change. That's a focus change. Okay, the stuff that we're focusing on, the stuff that we are working through when it comes to all the themes that Chiron represents, right? Now, we're going to go over all of it. Let me just real quick check in the chat. Hi, Ingrid. Happy full moon to you too. So great to see you here. So what we're going to do is we're going to move to just what is Chiron representative in our chart. You may have already heard this a lot, right? In astrology, where Chiron is the wounded healer. Chiron is where we're trying to heal something. You heard this a lot. It's some of that is true, but there's so much more depth to this and so much more rich knowledge to all of it. We're not gonna get to all of it right now. I'm gonna try to keep it, of course, simple. Otherwise, we'd be here for hours. But Chiron has gone through a lot of sort of changes when it comes to what they wanted Chiron to represent. At some point, I think it was called a dwarf planet. At some point, it was called a comet. Okay, but let's just stick with comet for now. And Chiron is a part in mythology that goes back to a centaur that was the wounded healer. Okay, he was actually wounded himself. He was partially immortal. And he couldn't, what was ironic about the story, and again, we're not going to dive very deep into this right now, is that he couldn't heal himself. Okay, yet he had the powers to heal other people. So it's a little bit of mythology background for you. The Chiron orbit is anywhere between 50 to 51 years. It's in its cycle. It's not exact every time, because it moves through some of the zodiac signs faster than others. Some of it just, takes maybe 2 years. Some of it takes longer. So there is not an exact, predictable orbit year, but about 50 to 51 years. And where is Chiron at right now? Well, Chiron is in the sign of Aries. So let's just go over there and just take a look at, Chiron, just draw a circle around this so that, anybody who's new to astrology, you can kind of follow along with this. So here's Chiron. It looks like, a circle and a key. Literally looks like a key when you take a look at this, right? Now, Chiron in Aries is about, in my opinion, it is about putting an identity back together that we are working on based on working through moments in our life that feel like we didn't get the opportunity to put this identity together. It has a lot to do with sort of pioneering with a new sense about who we are and what our journey is all about. To keep it simple, that is my interpretation right now. That's where Chiron is at in Aries. Those are the general themes. And so during this time, during this particular, time as Chiron is transiting Aries, every degree change that we're going through is going to represent a particular aspect about the things that we're trying to put back together and strengthen, or the wisdom that we're gaining in regards to these themes we just talked about, which has to do with our identity, which has to do with who we are becoming at this time. Because if you even think back the last 2 to 3 to 5 years, a lot about, who you are perhaps has changed in a sense that it has evolved. Maybe that is a better word. Evolution of who you are, right? It has evolved. And you may have had to work through a lot of portions or phases where your life maybe felt like, okay, you were stopped. You were stopped for a reason. You couldn't quite move forward. You couldn't quite pioneer in this new direction based on thought, based on identity, based on just where you were at as far as your journey. Maybe you were stuck on the wrong journey. What I mean by journey is it could be a career shift. It could have been some kind of a shift that you've been longing to create, but it took a lot of effort to kind of work through that. And that's the phase that we're in right now. So Chiron at 11 has been taking us into the themes of, well, how do I feel? What do I want to feel? How do I want to be in integrity and in balance with who I am? Who am I? And is this person that who I am truly going to attract what it is that I want? Am I able to hold a solid foundation and a balance to be able to be this person? So we're switching out of that and we're going into 12 degrees. 12 degrees is a very different energy. Chiron moves into 12 degrees on the 26th, and it's going to stay there until about, let's see, April. I just want to show you guys real quick. We're just going to clear this out. And if you guys have any questions for me in regards to Chiron, just, drop them in the chat or in the comment section below if you see this a little bit later. So I just want to go forward because it is a short transit that we're going to be in. It's not too long. There it is. So here we're going to be until about April 12th. And there's going to be 3 themes that I believe is going to lead to further changes that are going to be good. An evolution, a change based on what it is that we're finding out. Because the 12th degree is a discovery degree. Okay, I focus a lot on the degrees. I follow the degrees a lot. I follow the themes a lot. I have journals filled with this information, just writing down what it is that I'm observing. So everything that I'm telling you comes from my very own sort of discovery. Funny, discovery. 12 degrees in Aries has to do with discovering particular aspects, working them through in a reflective mode, in a mode where we're gaining wisdom, though, as a result of it, and we're able to get access to something we were not able to see clearly before. And now we're having a perspective change, but the perspective change is very real. And it's real because it's Chiron. It is real because it's a pattern that we're working over and over again that leads us to become better in a particular subject line. And the subject line has to do with discovering our identity now, discovering what it is that we believe about it and strengthening this aspect. Okay. Now, what's interesting about this change when we go back to the 26th, and we're going to work our way forward. Let me just see here. So you see that Chiron is now going to be close with the sun. As we move forward, we are inching our way towards that new moon in Aries. And so you see right over here, okay, the new moon in Aries. Let me just go back because I think I had the hours set a little bit differently. Okay, so the new moon in Aries is going to be occurring. Let's just go forward here. I think it's going to be, yep, right there. Okay, so the new moon in Aries is going to happen on the 1st, very early in the morning. Now, what we're seeing here is that Chiron is right by it. So this new moon cycle that we're going into is going to be all about discovering our courage once again, based on the Aries new moon themes. What are the Aries new moon themes? They're about understanding who we are right now, having a deep dive into who we are right now, not who we were back then, but really strengthening who we are at this time, how we feel at this time. Now, it is a moon cycle that is going to not be easy to navigate in the sense of these themes we just talked about, because the degrees that we're taking a look at right here, they have to do with our emotions. Okay. This new moon cycle is going to bring change, especially with Chiron being here at 12 degrees. It is going to have us learn courage in a whole new way. It is going to be very passionate, though, in our emotional, experience. So what we're seeing here is that the first sort of change is that we can't deny the way we feel anymore, and we can't play it safe anymore. You see, if you've been taking a look at a particular aspect in your life and you thought to yourself, I'm just still playing it safe, and I'm absolutely not going to let myself go into this realm, even though that's what I want to do. No more. That's what the change is. That's the first change that we're seeing. The reason we say no more about it is because there is a new sense of courage. And truly, this is a new energy. Like when we take a look at this particular, new moon cycle, this is a new energy. This energy has a lot to do with dealing with our fears in regards to what we are becoming, who we are at this time. So we have to strengthen this aspect. We can't quite go back. That is the biggest sort of change. Okay. Confidence, a new confidence that has to be discovered on the day by day, with reassuring how we feel, how we think, where we are at right now, and discovering this aspect. Okay. Very individual experience for everybody. Now, this is going to impact what we're doing in the day-to-day as well as we move along. Now, that's the first change, April 1st. April 9th, we are going to move into another energy forward here, April 9th. So let me I'm by the hour. Okay, let me just move forward, April 9th. So April 9th, we are going to see the Chiron, okay, coming into, let me just go back by hour because it's going to square the moon in Cancer. So let me just go back by hour. Let me just see here real quick. I'm going to try to get this exact for you guys so you can kind of just see this. There it is. Perfect. So we see Chiron here, 12 degrees, still together with the sun. Okay. An illumination of our courage, an illumination of what we're finding out day by day, something else about ourselves, a very incredible new, sort of initiation into this Aries season. And then here it is, Chiron making a square to the moon. Okay. The first square to the moon in Cancer. This is a very passionate reaction to wherever this transit is happening for you guys in your chart. So you want to follow this along. It's a very passionate reaction right around April 8th and 9th in regards to what we're discovering. Okay. There's something that makes us feel passionate. There's something that makes us want to react to it, because when we're taking a look at two signs, Aries and Cancer, that are cardinal signs, this is a reaction. This is an initiation. This is like taking the energy with, it's sort of like a fiery energy to make something happen based on what it is that we feel. And I know that the example that pops into my head right now is probably not a very good example, but like, if this transit is happening in the house of like health and food, you start to realize that you don't want the ice cream anymore. You want something else now. You want something healthier in your life, or you do maybe want that ice cream, like you're over it, you have been depriving yourself of the ice cream for so long. And so now you realize that you've been in this depriving mode for so long. And so there's an emotion that comes up that is sort of accompanied with like action mode, right? Because it's cardinal signs. It could be a time where we're initiating a new sort of conversation, but I see this as a positive, even though it is a square. It is a change in creating a better relationship to ourselves. And that better relationship has to do with being present. Like, I don't think that we have to really think about it. I don't think we have to think about it during this transit, that we have to be passionate. But I think that what we're understanding is that really the real change that we can make, or the thing that we're discovering is that really staying present in our life, right? What am I doing right now? This is sort of the theme of this square. And it brings this change to overcome something in the right now that you're dealing with, that you may have been dealing with for so long. Your mind was sort of in this place where you couldn't see with clarity before, that you've been stuck in this pattern, or stuck in this phase, or stuck thinking about who you are like this all the time, based on some discovery that you're making now, based on something in the past that you are like, wow, this is what I do. And it may not even have a really big reason. It may be just something that you've accustomed yourself to do. It doesn't have to have that big, reason. So I think that this is what we're moving into, the discovery, trying something different based on what it is that we are feeling at this time. And I would just say, if it enhances who you are, then go for it, right? If it's a new discovery, but you're a little bit fearful about, maybe judgment from other people, still go for it, because this is the time now, to make that change. That is what the planets are supporting at this time, because relationships are still going to change all year long. That Venus transit that we're in, we're going to talk about that later. That Venus transit that we're in, the changes that, we're going to make in relationships are huge. So right now, it really is a time to focus on yourself. And it may occur even to some of you guys as if you are being selfish, but that selfishness might be something that you actually need to do in order to break through for a moment. In order to break through, you may have to sort of look at certain things and go, am I being selfish by, just focusing on this particular aspect of my life? Maybe, but even challenge that, right? What do you have to discover about that? What decisions are you making that, make you move forward, make you feel like that you're living your life from moment to moment, versus that you're waiting for something to come and save the day, or waiting for something to come and just sort of help you to, maybe it's just never going to come, right? So that is, I think, the biggest second sort of change with Chiron being at 12 degrees. It's huge. Like, I can't wait to hear from you guys, I will be living through it as well. So we're all in it together. All right. The third thing that I want to take a look at that really caught my attention is going to be on the 11th. So let's move forward to the 11th. On the 11th, we have this beautiful energy that is coming about between Chiron. And let me just see. We're going to go back by hour again. I'm going to try to get this exact for you guys. Okay, there you go. Beautiful energy here between Chiron and the moon in Leo. There is a trine that's forming between these two. Again, fire energy. Okay, fire energy. What do we know about fire energy? Let's just go into the simple terms of fire. Just taking a look at the elements. There's a purification that is happening. What does this purification have to do with? It has to do with what our heart has been desiring. It has to do what we believe in now, and feeling this sense of vitality. It can be a sense of vitality in your body if the transit is going, let's say, through your first house. It can be a sense of vitality to your relationships if it's going through your seventh house. It can be a sense of vitality in subjects towards trust if it is in your eighth house. You want to make sure you check out where this is happening for you based on your rising sign in your chart. Okay. We can't go over again. I wish that I would be able to go over everything, but we'd be here for hours, taking a look at all the signs right now. But what I want to point out here is what's so beautiful about this energy between these two planets on the 11th is this is truly a new energy. This is an energy of overcoming. There is no struggle behind this. Okay. There's no struggle. There is an acceptance here. But the acceptance has to do with the changes we've been incorporating based on the past, based on, at some level, achievement in like the story, okay? The story we've been living out, sort of the storyline in regards to, again, where it's happening in your chart, but it has to do with up-leveling value and worthiness. What's worth your time now? And it doesn't even have to be something where you are comparing it to, like, let's say that you feel that there is something more worth your time now, and you've achieved this goal now. It doesn't have to mean that what you did before was bad. Okay. It doesn't always have to mean that. It can be, but there is sort of a sense of fresh air, a sense of sort of new energy, vitality, achievement. And I think the biggest thing here is about feeling like we can be guided again in life, feeling like we can have hope towards certain things in life. I almost want to say that for all of us collectively, this is sort of a time where many of us in the day-to-day experience are going to start to learn something really bigger about our life that then eventually towards the end of this month is going to lead into all of us reacting to certain themes that are repeating from the past very differently in the world. Okay. It's an internal change that now leads to an external reaction in a different kind of a way. That is what I'm seeing here. Again, not for everybody. Not everybody is going to take this invitation, but many will. And that's what I'm seeing here. So the discovery becomes complete here, that we have sort of come to a place that we have overcome a particular aspect. We still have to strengthen it, but we have overcome the worst part of it. And I think that is what is so beautiful about this energy. And that is the third, like, biggest change that we're going to see when it comes to discovering who we are now, right now, at this time, not sometime in the future, but right now in this time. And then we can take that aspect with us and continue to do what it is that we want to do moving forward. So that's the energy that I'm seeing here. I'm going to pause here and I'm going to take a look at the chat and see if you are joining in. Welcome. If you're here for the first time, welcome. I'm so excited that you're here. I want you to tell me where you're tuning in from. Let me just pull up the chat. Why can I not see my chat? Maybe I don't have it pulled up. Every time I go through a mock session and I'm navigating the computers and everything else, I'm like really good at it. And then every time we go live, it's this energy that I'm working through where I'm like, where is everything? It's like I'm acting as if it's like brand new what it is that I'm taking a look at. But maybe it is, I'm just, I think I'm just sort of moving into this aspect right here where I'm just strengthening this aspect as well, right? Going live with you guys. All right. So if you guys don't have any questions, we're going to move on to taking a look at some tarot. The first card that I'm going to pull is for the collective. What else do we need to know, right? What are some of the like themes that might still be coming up for this next week in particular? So I am going to pull some cards now. So the first deck that I'm going to shuffle from, and I just want to show this guy to you guys. Let me just hop out of the chart. Okay, so the first deck I want to show you guys is from this beautiful deck that I got not long ago. It's called the Universe Illusion. There's 150 cards in this deck, and they're all just individual art pieces. They're just pictures. There's not a whole lot of like description to the cards because they're just supposed to be worked through with what you feel when you take a look at the pictures. And I love this kind of a deck. I just think it's like so incredibly unique and made with such big intention. And there's already one card that fell out. So we're going to take a look at this. All right. So for everyone who is listening to this on the podcast version, in this card, we see a mother looking at her baby, holding her baby in her arms. And it's a moment of peace. It's a moment of quiet. It's a moment of a mother nurture, moment where she is just connecting to her baby. Okay. So what's the first thing that I'm seeing here? What we are moving into next week is processing parts about ourselves where we may have not been nurturing towards ourselves enough. Okay. Where we haven't been kind to ourselves enough, where we haven't spoken in a way about ourselves to ourselves in a way that is nurturing and loving. This can be as simple as, realizing, again, a food sample, right? Like realizing a food example, realizing that you are eating something that is not nurturing you, or realizing that you're talking maybe to your partner in a way that comes from a place where you're not talking to yourself in a way where you're being, kind to yourself, or that you are not expressing something that is a need. And so that is the energy that we're moving into. There is an incredible, uplifting, nurturing aspect about next week because the way that we are reflecting is softer. It comes from a softer place. It comes from a more faithful place, the expansion of our faith, the expansion of, really wanting to make sure that we're protecting aspects about ourselves. That's what I'm seeing here. That is the message for next week. You guys let me know what you are seeing, right? Like, what did you see when you take a look at this card? I'm curious to know your take on it as well. So that's that. Now, the last thing we're going to do, which is what I'm doing every single week when we're going onto this live, is we're going to roll this dice. I'm going to shake up this dice in my little, wood container here. And we're going to be pulling cards for, let me just organize myself here. We're going to be pulling cards for whatever sign that I rolled out here in the dice. Whatever sign that is going to be, that is the sign that needs messages for next week. So let me go ahead and do this real quick. I have too many of the dices, but you guys have probably seen this before. You've seen these before, right? These dices. There's like so much astrology and tarot content out there now. Many of those folks have these dices in their videos. Okay, so Gemini. A message for Gemini. Interesting. The first sort of energy I'm getting from Gemini is contemplation. Contemplation. You are dealing with a very particular situation in your life that requires for you to step out of your comfort zone more than you ever have before. And it's usually not that it's difficult for you, but this is so different than anything you have ever imagined that it's making you a little bit uncomfortable. Because it's almost like there is a part of what you're doing next that has a very different theme behind it, a softer sort of theme, yet a passionate theme behind it. And I almost want to say that for you guys, like you are in this place where maybe that is uncomfortable right now because that is the kind of passion you may have kind of shied away from before. So it's new because you have to sort of recreate a new frame to operate from. That's the first thing we're seeing. Let's take a look at if there's anything else, okay? So that's sort of where I think next week is having you focus on. What is that new frame? And what should you take into consideration for it, okay? Well, you should take into consideration that you are going to be able to get to this new frame a lot faster than what you're thinking right now, what you're imagining right now. I think by midweek, you are going to, some of you are going to an event or you're inviting people to some kind of an event or there's some kind of event that's happening. And once that is over, you start to realize that you find your expression of your passion or who you are to be strengthened and something so new that it ignites a curiosity about where else you can take it, what else you can do with it. What else can you do with it? Let's ask that question. Let's take a look. Okay. Well, for some of you, it's going to be a new romance. For some of you, it is going to be a new emotion of like a level of joy that you had not considered ever to be able to reach in that kind of a way. But it is connected to someone who has hurt you in the past. And as a result of it, a part of you couldn't maybe open up to all of these things that you are going to be moving into now. It's actually in this order. It's this in this order. I'm screwing this up badly. First card, second card, third card. So to recap this, Gemini, this is going to be an incredible week of breakthrough for you guys. It is going to be an incredible week where you will start to make very necessary insights into how you relate to yourself, how you even relate to expressing yourself, but it has to do in front of other people. It has to do with other people in your environment, okay? And there is a new expression and a new joy that is coming through that a lot of you may have not expected. And then some of you, if you are either single or you're dating someone and you don't know if you can take it to the next level, you will be taking it to the next level based on you making the decision, based on you discovering that you are far better off than what you thought. You don't have to be afraid of this aspect. I am going to pull from the cards of truth. It's not the cards of truth deck, but it's a playing card and it's the cards of truth system. I'm going to be pulling one more card as a final message for all of my Gemini friends out there to see what else you guys need to know. Okay, there's two cards that fell out. Okay, so take the time right now to understand what it is that you really, really want in your life. What do you want to go after in your life? What is it? This is the time to figure it out. This is the time to make a big decision to make yourself better. But it has a lot to do with your passion, has a lot to do with your desire, has a lot to do with what your goals are and what you want to see happen. Okay, what are these goals and what do you want to see happen? What do you need to make as a decision emotionally so that you can begin? This is huge. You may have to talk to some people also in your life and just let them know that this is what you're going to be doing now. And a part of you might be dreading that. A part of you, why? Because I think that, with the Eight of Hearts, you might feel that it's too much about you and it's not like about them. Don't even worry about it. Once you make that decision, you're going to be able to see how the other people in your life are going to be sort of a part of what it is that you're doing. But right now, as you're starting, it might feel a little bit like you're not including them, and that is okay. So that's a wrap on what is happening next week. I hope that you guys found this helpful. Please leave me a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell so that you get notified. I am going to get better and better at these lives. Okay. I'm going to do a better job at these lives. We're going to be back here next week at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to be discussing what is going to be coming up with the new moon in Aries transit. We're going to go deep into that. And again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for spending your time with me. Thank you for listening. And I will see you guys